Uh, Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani. This is America's Mayor Live. This is the now day after Christmas, and this is, well, 25, 26, 27, 28, the fourth day of Hanukkah. Kind of interesting, right? They happen together. So we'll light our Hanukkah candles in a little while and celebrate the great victory, ancient victory for the Jewish people, which may be matched. BB may be the new Maccabees. Wow, is he kicking you know what? And he's doing a lot of it for us. I don't know. Trump may actually think about giving him like the Medal of Freedom. I don't know if you can give a military guy from another country a military medal. Well, because he isn't military now, he was. But my goodness, I mean, slowly but surely, he's making mincemeat out of the Iranian feared proxies that made Biden, actually gave Biden 4 years of diarrhea. And Obama, of course, didn't have diarrhea. He just agreed with them. But with Trump now on the horizon, Bibi, I think, feels empowered. And boy, is he kicking them all around the place. Great to have an ally like that, and to know that pretty soon, he knows now he's near the end of the period of American treachery, and he'll have a real ally again, like Israel has had most of the time. I don't know how many historically scandals of major proportions will be recorded historically for the Biden, Harris, Biden-Easter, Obama administration. And it's going to be a real battle among historians, which was worse. Was it all the money that he took, which is way beyond any American president, all the bribes for 30 years? Was it the singular bribes from China, which we'll get to in a minute? Was it the cover-up in the 2020 election, the hard drive cover-up? Or was it the 4-year pursuit of President Trump on a false charge that was not only created by the Democrats, but paid for by them, and then pursued to the extent of vitiating completely and destroying any vestige we had of legitimate law enforcement agencies? The FBI became their little prostitute and remained that way for some time. The Secret Service didn't look much better when it was trying to cover up Hunter Biden's gun crimes and his use of his father's credit card. We can go on and on about how the federal agencies, or the IRS, which predates Biden and was going after conservatives over and over again, but let Biden get away with the lion's share of the money that he took in bribes. Oh, and by the way, paid to his father. Remember, that's his testimony, not anyone else's. He's the one who wrote, "I gave half of my income for 30 years to my father." Well, it looks like the same panel of intelligence agents that misled you in, again, one of the worst scandals in American history, the cover-up of the hard drive. When Hunter Biden's hard drive was presented, it turned out 17 months later that it was 100% accurate. It was his hard drive, and the things in it were all accurate. And the things in it, depending on how you count crimes, amounted to somewhere between 50 and 75 major crimes. Now, if a Democrat were counting it against a Republican, you don't need evidence. You make it up. But this was real evidence, and it was suppressed by people who just lied. They went to the top intelligence agents in our country over the past 10 years, and almost each one of them said it had earmarks of Russian collusion. It had no such earmarks. They had no ability to even determine that because they got the letter drafted by Stinkin' Blinken and just signed it because they wanted to kiss Joe's ass and either get a place in the administration or, just as importantly, keep their security clearance so they can make a lot of dough. Well, those guys also got a lot of Americans killed by destroying the absolutely obvious theory that COVID emerged from the Wuhan lab. Now, I knew that, a combination of the extraordinarily good information I got from Dr. Maria, who followed this thing before it even started. Well, not going to say before it started, before anybody else knew about it, months before. And from the day I heard about it, said there's no question it came from the laboratory. They've been doing these gain of function experiments. They've been doing them with bats. They've been creating this exact kind of virus. And very quickly, you could determine that the laboratory was a lousy laboratory. What I mean by that was it had an unbelievable record of things escaping from the laboratory. So unbelievable that the UK quit a year earlier, walked out on them. Maybe the UK was also uncomfortable working with the Red Chinese Army, who ran the place. That would not, of course, stop the Americans that are involved in this kind of work, like Fauci and his friends, because as far as I can tell, they're dedicated communists. I'm going to tell you why and the giveaway in a moment. But in any event, now a report has been done, another one, that just about conclusively says, number one, it came from the laboratory. But much worse than that, there were several very specific edits and presentations to Biden in which they lied to him. And they kept out the FBI agents who had determined at an early stage, I have to say, not as early as we did, but at an early stage, that this was without any doubt from the laboratory. Fauci and his people tried to crucify them, and the other doctors who went public with that, including, suggestions that they were going to get people killed, suggestions that they were traitors, when they knew completely that it was the truth. And also, as I think in the questioning in Congress, Rand Paul any number of times made very, very clear, it would be stupid to come to any other conclusion. The most of their lies and frauds are so far out, so idiotically self-interested, that you don't need all that much evidence. You just need common sense. This is what made me absolutely convinced when I found out from Dr. Maria that if you remember, let's go back a little, and this is all in the report. The Biden, the Obama administration, before all of this, had banned gain of function research. It banned it because it thought that the possible gains were outweighed by the enormous, unbelievable consequences if one of these viruses escaped. The idea of it, if you made an argument for it, was that they were going to create uncurable viruses. Not as if nature doesn't create enough, but they're going to create uncurable viruses. And then that will allow them to come up with vaccines for it. And then, as we have found out, particularly over when the proliferation of vaccines has occurred and within modern corrupt medical economics, vaccines are, it's like in the old days if you hit a gold mine. If you hit a vaccine, you're going to make $1 trillion. And in the case of not a gold mine, an oil well, or a gold mine, but in this case, you get to put the phony oil in, and you make believe it's an oil well, and they pay you for nothing. Because here, what they had to do was, in order to make time for the vaccine, They had to prevent any meaningful treatment because in order to put out the vaccine early, you had to have a certification there's no meaningful treatment. Well, there was meaningful treatment. Hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, others that had unbelievable records in other countries that aren't as corrupt as ours. All this charge was led by that massive piece of garbage known as Mr. Science, Dr. Fauci, who knew all this and also knew beyond any doubt this came right out of the Chinese laboratory. Among other things, that laboratory is controlled by the Red Chinese Army. What the hell we're doing working in a laboratory controlled by the Red Chinese Army could be another indication maybe that there's something wrong here. And then when the Chinese, even if you were to buy there, it came from bats from a market that has never sold a bat. Once you checked it, once that story got out and China got infected, Xi Jinping sent hundreds, thousands, multiple thousands of Chinese all around the world. All of a sudden, the Chinese are traveling like madmen right before the holidays. Why are they doing that? They're doing it to spread the disease like weapons to kill us so that China did not suffer a disproportionate economic damage. I mean, they could have been crushed had the rest of the world not been affected by it, and they were affected by it. They become beggars. And they made sure everybody else was beggars. Now, that's fine. They're a communist government. They're an atheistic government. They're a homicidal government. They're a maniacal government. There is no government on earth that has killed 100 million of its own people. I don't know if there's another government in history of the world that's killed 100 million people. Chinese communism is so evil, it's impossible to describe. And it's also impossible to describe how effective they are in fooling people, in fooling them and making jackasses out of them and making idiots out of them. Because the reason everybody fought back so much was to protect China. Fauci was once, they proposed a theory to Fauci that the Chinese deliberately spread this virus, including some in China, to make it credible to spread it on the rest of the world. And Fauci, in his best attempt at pretending not to be a liar, because to me, he always looked like a lying little rat, said, well, the Chinese would never kill their own people. I think it took me a half hour to recover from that. There is no government on earth that's killed more of its own people, Fauci, you rat, than China. You know that. Now, why did you lie like that? Why are you protecting China? Why do you all protect China? We got a problem. We got a big one. But I have to tell you, we got a president that is the first one to have noted it. And someday I think you'll find out it's the main reason he was cheated out of the 2016 election. The main reason. That's where the resources came from, really. And that's who they were acting for, so that China could get further ahead in its effort to take over the world so we can become one world. Soros's great dream, Prince Obama's great dream. Oh, who else? Oh, Klaus Schwab's great dream. And of course, Xi Jinping's great dream. Now, if they ever get there, which they won't, but if they ever got there, who do you think would prevail? Obama? Gates? Klaus Schwab? Soros? Or Xi Jinping? I have no doubt. And I'll tell you after the break.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order...
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
We are back, and I do suggest to you over the weekend the Wall Street Journal and several others, and have you can read summarized reports, short reports, longer reports, or detailed reports of the people who brought this evidence together. It's going to, if you have any hair left, it'll raise your hair. They basically had people come to the White House to brief the president that the lab theory was the correct. Remember, the FBI actually came to the lab theory, but they weren't allowed to present it to the president. A number of independent government scientists, I'm not talking about outsiders. The outsiders were destroyed. Who did it? Absolutely destroyed. Thrown out of their jobs, thrown out of their hospitals. I mean, there was even a suggestion at one point to put them in jail. All they were doing was telling you the truth about health. Had we dealt with the pandemic honestly, even if we made some of the same mistakes about the mask, even if we made some mistakes about the vaccine, but we dealt with it honestly, because you are going to make mistakes in a pandemic like this. The problem was, this wasn't ever about curing the pandemic. It was about making a fortune for a few people by forcing a vaccine without proper tests. And that a lot of scientists from the beginning, given the fact that it was a very different kind of vaccine that operates in a different way than other vaccines, had either no confidence in or were sure beforehand that it wouldn't work. But you can never hear from them. They'd have been far better off not being ridiculous just because Trump raised hydroxychloroquine in destroying that, and then, destroying ivermectin because it was horse medicine. Penicillin is horse medicine. They give it to horses. It doesn't mean it doesn't work for humans. A lot of the medicines that work on humans in different doses. Obviously, any medicine that works on a human and a horse, the horse percentage or the horse strength of the medicine is going to be gigantic compared to anyone but me, because I always need double the dose. Did you know that? Been that way since I was 4. Weirdest thing. Maybe I'm a horse. I've been called a lot of things. Never been called a horse. I love horses. This guy, Jason Bannon from FBI headquarters, just to give you one example of this. I mean, the poor guy probably, he gets called over to the White House. They tell him to sit outside. He's going to present all kinds of evidence. This is early on in 2021, but not early on, about midway in 2021. He's going to present all kinds of evidence that the Chinese are responsible for this, and they never let him in the meeting. Now, would Biden have done anything about the Chinese being responsible? He never did anything to China of any significance at all, nor did he ever raise this with Xi Jinping like an honest American president would have. I mean, if you were president or I would, you'd go nuts at this man for having killed millions of people by spreading this virus around. Because remember, even if you want to accept, and I'm willing to accept that, in fact, as I look, even to this day, as I look at all of the evidence, I do think it escaped accidentally. But I think when it did, unlike an honest country, a decent country, a moral country, in which you would do everything now to fix it and disclose it to the world so they could help you, China did exactly China, which is a sinister country, used it to attack. So whether the attack were planned in advance by the military or the COVID escaped and it was rolling along when they found out about it, where, as I said, an honest government that valued human life, even to some degree, would say, wait a second, we made a terrible mistake. Now help us with this. And they'd accept the losses in their country and not feel they had to impose those same losses on the rest of the world. That's what happened, but we never got to investigate that because we are so heavily infiltrated by China that it is frightening. And I just pray that President Trump is able to carry out what I know he's going to try to do, which is to expose and change all this. The whole Panama thing is another one that it gets me boiling. So he suggested that we take Panama back. And the ignorant, poorly educated, silly, smarter than they think they are, left wing goes crazy. He wants a war with Panama for no reason. Canada, Greenland, whatever. Well, let me point out one thing to those smart asses, okay? Already, he's not even in the presidency. And Molina, the president of Panama, who resisted him, but is a conservative, has put together his armed forces to stop people from using the Darien Gap to come to Central America. The major route, the only land route from South America, which Panama is kind of part of, and in between South America and North America, Central America, is called the Darien Gap. The Darien Gap is extraordinarily treacherous to cross. It's in many ways, the water, the animals, the attacks, the weather, incredible numbers of people die if they attempt to cross it. You need professionals to take you across. Well, they were doing like 500,000 a month, 800,000 a month. This is largely how a lot of the Venezuelans got in, who may be among the most dangerous that we have. Molina, within a day of Trump saying, we may have to take Panama, he has announced all over the Panamanian newspapers the other day, he's bringing out the army to stop them because he's thinking maybe Trump threatened me with that to wake me up and get me to stop it. I'll stop it. Well, maybe he did. Or maybe he did it for a reason that our crooked pro-Chinese traitorous press doesn't report. And I have to confess to you, I didn't know this. And I was in Panama. I'm not sure this was true when I was in Panama. There are 5 effective locks that are now operated. America operates just one. China operates the two biggest. And there were representatives of the Chinese army in Panama, and the Chinese government is very friendly with Red China, including having ended its relationship with Taiwan and created a diplomatic relationship with the Chinese Communist government. And we give them all kinds of money, Panama. And we gave them that damn canal. Now, Trump today made that point. I wish he had made it right away. Because I think, sometimes he assumes that you know things that you don't. He really doesn't know how stupid the left is. And none of the kids in school would know that China is in Panama big time and seeking even a bigger role. So I'll tell you that I believe this was a two-pronged strategy. Strategy number one has already worked. Wake up, Molina, with a slap across the face and keep those bastards from coming over. And start it now. Because when I get in office, it can be worse for you than it is now. And number two, I'm going to tell you the next step here is you get rid of those Chinese. I don't care how you have to do it. I want to see them gone in 6 months. Now, you're talking about American military action. That's not so crazy. I mean, remember the Bay of Pigs? What was that? We didn't want Cuban missiles within 90 miles of Miami. We want a Chinese military force really running our canal, the one Teddy Roosevelt built, that we gave them for nothing. Maybe Jimmy Carter made a stupid deal because he's on his deathbed. I like Jimmy Carter. I really do. I think he was an inadequate president, but I like him. But this was a deal that you can't even explain. And you can if you don't have a rosy, silly view of the world, that everybody is so wonderful and everybody is so nice and the Chinese are really nice. And if we deal with them in the right way, they'll be even nicer. If you realize that there are truly and I don't know, it's not hard with the Chinese, Red Chinese, not when they killed 100,000 people. Come on. It's really hard to figure out they're evil and can't be trusted. I mean, you got so snowed by Kissinger and Nixon, you couldn't see the two sides of that. I mean, and some of you can't even see it now, and it's like pushed down your throat. There's no way that any of those locks should be controlled by China. And if we have to throw them out of there, maybe we got to throw them out of there. What the hell are they doing running it? They have nothing to do with it. Out. And all they have there is nefarious purposes. There's no good purpose to their being there. There's nothing good about the Chinese government. It's all evil motivation. So the spy chiefs once again silenced the research on the correct explanation of COVID. And thank you, but you got an awful lot of people killed doing that, intelligence chiefs. I wonder how many of you are the same that got Biden elected, that got hundreds of thousands of people killed. Because there's no doubt there'd be no Ukraine war if it wasn't for your having fixed the election and gotten Biden elected. And you knew it. You all know, all of you know, led by Gates, that the man is remarkably stupid and extraordinarily dangerous because of his stupidity. Before he became president, he was costing lives with his unbelievably stupid opinions and crooked opinions. His opinion on China isn't stupid. His opinion on China was purchased. So the Wall Street Journal bombshell today has a lot more to it. So let's see what happens. So Trump, who now wants to take on Panama because there are Chinese running Panama, and also Panama is as corrupt as Atlanta. Atlanta may be bigger, I'm not sure. That you want this corruption? It's like New York and Atlanta and Chicago. You got to buy everything. You got to pay for the kickbacks involved in everything. Just take a look at how many go to prison, like the last president. But for real, not the kind of crap they were doing to Trump. Who, this is unbelievable. This is like what you call the epilogue in the book. The book is, how many ways are we going to try to frame Donald Trump and keep him or throw him out of office? Russian collusion, Ukrainian quid pro quo, the hard drive, what else? The January 6th. This is the insurrection one, which I thought was defeated by the Supreme Court when the incredibly dishonest secretaries of state out of nowhere decided that he was guilty of insurrection and they could single-handedly take him off the ballot, even though nobody proved anywhere that he was guilty of insurrection. Nor do the facts really suggest that he's guilty of insurrection. Given comments that Democrats make inciting violence, which is basically to encourage people to go kill other people. When Donald Trump said to them, go to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically, I think that destroyed any possibility of making a case even for inciting a riot. Because of the First Amendment, the standard for inciting a riot is very, very high. And I know there's a thing about yelling fire in a crowded theater from Justice Holmes, but in 1947 and 48, the Supreme Court really altered that and said that's too light a standard. You really have to maybe have something to do with setting the fire, or you have to start leading people toward the fire. But just words alone, even if they're incendiary, a good word with the fire, and or false, are not enough. Otherwise, you're restricting free speech. Now, this is ridiculous. When the man said peacefully and patriotically, what was he winking? Trump doesn't wink. I don't ever saw him wink. So that was another one. So now we have the Constitution says that no person shall hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or any other state who, having previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection. Now, every court that ruled on this, except one, has ruled that this applied to the Civil War, not to anything else. Number two, you just can't say insurrection. You got to prove it. Where's the proof? 1,000 people charged on January 6th. There's not a single insurrection charge. There isn't who did he lead to? If they didn't do it, if you can't prove they did an insurrection, how are you going to prove he led it? Well, even if they did an insurrection, how are you going to prove he led it when he told them to go there peacefully and patriotically? But they didn't have an insurrection. It's absurd to try to make that an insurrection. That was mild compared to most of the Antifa Black Lives Matter riots. I would like you to take a look at any number you want to look at. They all had massive buildings burning down. Nothing in the Capitol burned. Nothing. They killed a lot of people. In the case of January 7, the cops killed people. The cops weren't killed. Cop died of natural causes. They phoned that one up good. Except the coroner, they couldn't get to him. but there's, I mean, beyond whatever you think of the exaggerations of January 6th and whether it was orchestrated or it wasn't, there was no insurrection. It wasn't even an attempted insurrection. Without guns, this is the only insurrection in the history of the world against the biggest military power in the world. You're going to do what? Pea shooters? Spitballs? The Charmin is going to do it? The Kunan Charmin? Who looks like he's half out of his mind? And who they escorted around and held the door for and laughed at? In the full measure of history, this will turn out to be one of our greatest scandals. And the judges who participated in it, including the one who presides over my case, who pretty soon will decide if I'm held in contempt. So, Judge, listen carefully. You're going to go down in history as someone that was a great embarrassment to the federal judiciary by the unbelievable trashing of the constitutional rights of so many people, including me. But you got away with it because of the media hysteria and because maybe legitimately you're suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. It sure looks that way in your eyes and in your conduct and in the fact that you weren't happy with all the sentences. You weren't happy the other judges didn't give them enough time. All these people, some of whom I guess were guilty, but many of whom didn't do a damn thing. Nor did any of you give a damn about the murder of Ashley Babbitt. And you just can't be an honest person and look at that and not see how that is raises every issue of a first-degree murder case and suggests everything could have been done to cover up for that cop. When you don't take murder seriously, when your political biases have moved you to such an extent that first-degree murder of an unarmed woman doesn't lead you to believe some justice has to be done. I don't care how much of a Trump derangement syndrome you have. You don't deserve to be in public office, not in a decent country. Go to China. Well, Israel was really taking on Yemen. Now, why is that so interesting? Because we should. The Houthis have done great damage to us in a sort of in a geopolitical way, and also by injuring and killing us. We're supposed to police and keep open the Red Sea. They have blown the hell out of the Red Sea now for over a year. And they blow up international shipping. Some American, some allies. And we've had the role one way or the other. Oh, gosh, going back to Tripoli, of keeping that sea lane open. And certainly since there's been the Suez Canal. And we are failing miserably in it. We are being attacked by them, both some of our ships, and then occasionally they were going to hit some of our bases in Syria and Lebanon, the Houthis I'm talking about. And we were responding like Bill Clinton, hit an empty field, wagged a dog's tail and hit an empty field. And every time we hit an empty field, they hit us 5 more times. We have now conducted maybe 2 attacks on them to their 130 against us. Kind of doesn't work as a deterrent. However, there is a guy who's more loyal to the United States than Biden, and that's Bibi. And he's been beating the shit out of them. As everybody's looking at Hamas and Hezbollah, he's going south with some of his planes, and he's knocking the shit out of Yemen, which is where the Houthis operate. They've struck the airport. They are depriving Yemen of power. I mean, I don't know how much damage they're going to do there. If they keep going, they can make Yemen like Gaza. I think you see some of the flames in Yemen. And now, please, don't get all cheery-eyed. These people kill Americans. They go after us like crazy. And, of course, this is one of the things for which the president and Admiral Kirby should burn in hell for lying to us about this. I mean, it took forever to get out the fact that Americans were injured seriously. They first began to say, Kirby began to say, minor injuries. Yeah, people had broken backs, aren't going to be able to walk again. And then deaths. We're lying to protect them. Well, the Houthis have struck back. I mean, that is true. I'm giving you the last of the attacks, which was yesterday. Who knows? There may have been one today, but it's been strike and then return strike, strike and return strike. But it's a little like the Gazans and the Hamas. An Israeli strike is not a Houthi strike. The Israeli strike hits the target and kills people. The Houthi strike most often is deflected. If they have 2 or 3 deaths in Israel, it's a lot. Whereas in Yemen, it's approaching the thousands. So this is not, I mean, this is a fight between people who know how to use missiles and people who don't, or don't know how to use them effectively. So Israel's taken on a lot now. They are effectively in, gosh, I'm probably going to be wrong about this. They're effectively in 3 wars at different levels of engagement. They're in the war that started when they were invaded by a terrorist attack from Gaza on October 7th of 2023. And they are 2022, sorry, right? 2022. Check, make sure. Let's just make sure. Has it been going on?
We're talking about October 7th?
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, it's a year. It's a year. It seems like it's longer. Yeah, it seems like it's longer.
It does seem like a long time.
But they are, and they were held up a month. That thing could be over by now. And a lot less people would have been killed if Biden didn't hold them back for a month. And of course, if Biden didn't do ceasefire, the thing would be over with by now. And also, these people would return a hostage because they'd be scared. Another thing he should burn in hell for is not doing a damn thing to try to get our hostages back. And don't tell me we can't get the hostages back. I would know how to get the hostages back. I'm just whatever. Somebody they want to destroy. But I know how to get the hostages back. You know, I know the pressure point really well. I trained their police department. Pressure point is Qatar. You tell Qatar, we cut off all relations and power and money to you. We put you on the shit list. Except you get us every single one of those damn hostages, Israeli and American, and get them for us right away. First thing they'll say is, we'll take away your base. And we'll say, yeah. How do you propose to do that? How do you propose? This is not Biden. I'm not giving you Bagram like that trader did. See, you're fighting for Qatar, right? Sheik or Sheikh or whatever the hell you are. Hard to see you with that shit you got on your face. You know, that mask and stuff. But in any event, who's ever behind there, you see, we don't give up bases. That's an American base. We got a lease for it. And you want to cancel the lease? Come and take it. And see how long you're going to have an army. You see what Israel does to them, right? Can you imagine what we would do? They don't even have an army in Qatar. They didn't have a police force when I went. They don't have an army. I'm telling you, they'd be so friendly, they'd be so nice, and they get you the hostages. Like that. Otherwise, all they have to do is tell us where all the stolen money is that Hamas has been stealing. Major article today of a report of how much Hamas has stolen from the Palestinian people. Hamas is the group that the Ivy League supports. That's the group that all the Ivy League students supports in their protests against the Jewish people that they hate. Some of them being Jewish themselves. They support the Hamas terrorist group that kills children and women and steals food from their own people. That was today's report. So the Israeli strikes in Yemen, I don't know exactly. I mean, Bibi doesn't talk about it a lot. He just does it. I'd like to see if I can get a little report on just like it really snuck up on us, didn't it? How much damage they did to Hezbollah. I mean, a lot of people are trying to take credit for the overthrow of Assad. It's only one. It has nothing to do with us. It has to do with Israel beating the hell out of Hezbollah and sending them right back into Syria and taking over that denuclearized zone. It scared the hell out of them. It gave Iran. Iran is losing its. I wouldn't say arm. In some cases, 2-3 fingers. In the case of Hezbollah, it's losing an arm. And in the case of Houthis, it's losing a really great prospect to be massive killers. They're not there yet, but they were extremely bold the last year and a half in the Red Sea. Ain't going to happen again, not because of the U.S., but because of Bibi Netanyahu, who all the left wing despises, including left wing Jews. I don't get it. Bibi Netanyahu is the guy that Schumer wanted fired, which was an interference in a foreign election. But that was okay because he's a Democrat and he can do that. He's also a traitor to his own people. You know that if you're Jewish, right? He decided he doesn't want to take on the squad. More important that, the Democratic Party keep power and money. That it's not to do, they don't do anything good. In fact, when they're in charge, more people are hungry, more people are without work, more people get killed by a lot. Every one of those Democratic cities has like records for murder. So thousands of pallets of humanitarian aid stacked at the Gaza border are awaiting delivery by relief organizations that are unwilling to send supply trucks, likely to be looted by Hamas. Israel isn't depriving them of aid and help and assistance. Their own people are. And you want them to be a two-state solution? You know how far they are from being a state? As far as barbaric terrorists can be from being a state. That's how far they are. Well, let's take a short break and find out why the modern American young woman is mad over Luigi, the Luigi, the mad murderer. I mean, this is, talk about sick. This is sick. Really sick. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory, or it's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. The Jonathan Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. Sean is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please. This is Rudy Giuliani, and we're back with America's Mayor Live. And before I go anywhere else, I am going to light my candles because it's. I mean, this turns out to be, by the way, this turns out to be a Shabbos celebration or Shabbat celebration of. This is a Shabbos celebration of the 4th day of Hanukkah, meaning it's falling on the on the sacred day of rest, Shabbat. Jews on Shabbat say the way you greet people on Shabbat Shalom. Oh, I remember first time I went to a Shabbat dinner was, well, not the first time. First time I went to in Israel, it was like in the mid 80s. And I went around very proud of myself saying Shabbat Shalom to everybody. And then after it was over, they said, okay, you can stop saying it now. Wait until next Friday.
That's right.
My uncles used to help light these candles. They were Shabbos goys. Here, we're supposed to light it. Here we go. We're using the special candle to light the others. Oh, the special candle's not so special. Don't give me a hard time. These wicks. There we are. One. Baruch atah Adonai, right? Elohim, Elohim, melech harosh.
Well,
Yeah, there we go.
as Catholics, it kind of reminds me of how we still have some Latin, right? They do some Hebrew in their service.
But we use candles a lot too. Yeah, my aunt and uncle were candle makers, international candles
Really?
for churches.
Oh wow, that's a big business.
It was a big business. And then my cousin invented the, the ones that are electronic candles, electronic votive candles.
Yeah,
He had a patent on it, and I did his contract for him when he was a young lawyer.
I mean, that must have been big money in the Catholic Church, right? Every single church has one of those. I mean, not every single nowadays.
Oh, we're not getting the miracle like they got of all the candles lit.
We got them. There you go. It's 3. There should be 3 today, right?
No, there should be. No, it's the 4th night. Sunday, Monday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, 3rd night, yeah.
Okay, I only see lit anyway.
Yeah, but the middle candle's lit, and I have 2 lit. I need one more. One of these has got to work for me.
All right.
A lot. 1 good Jew and 10 Catholics. 5 Irishmen and 5 Italians, and a couple of Poles.
Is it the middle plus 3?
Yeah. Now we got another one out.
That's all right. I think the wick is catching the draft from the.
Yeah, I can see that. Here we go. We might get lucky with a blue candle here.
No.
Go ahead, baby. Don't let me down. Oh, you son of a gun, stick with it.
Oh.
There we are. Okay.
There we go.
Now we got our 3. We're getting it. You know we're getting this right?
If we have all those papers, I would show it off more. We gotta give it its own little.
We got to watch out we don't burn the place down.
Yeah.
The hotel got worried. The hotel banned us on the second night. They were afraid we were going to burn the place down. We could have. You know, someone said about Christmas and Hanukkah coming together. I was going to use this as an example of how secular we've become. It'll probably mean a lot more fires.
Oh yeah,
And you know, Christmas time is always the worst for fires.
that's right.
So this is really very, very sad, Ted. And you and I should have a slight discussion of this. I'm sorry that Dr. Maria can't join us tonight for this conversation because she's had some very helpful views on it. But one of the, I mean, I really am. And I think Ricky's column is excellent. Not that I understand it completely. But, do you know they're going around selling? I hate to even say this. They're going around selling deny, defend, and depose panties
Sick.
because that's what he had on the bullets.
Yeah, that's sick.
They also, you can get a mug. You can get a Mangione mug. I think they sell better than the Rudy mugs.
No. No.
We got a Rudy mug to show him.
Let's get the Rudy mug out. If anyone buys you a Luigi Mangione mug, you turn around and you buy 2 Rudy mugs in response, and you send those to them, and you tell them what you need to start watching Mayor Giuliani. You need to get your head on straight.
Do you know that with the Mangione mug, it has a Taylor Swift quotation, like she's a oracle or something? See, she can't even sing, in my way of thinking, but I'm an opera fan, and I think we might have left them all in New Hampshire.
Where were they? We had some down here. I thought.
I gave someone my apron. I'm not sure I should say who. She might get unnecessary attention. I gave someone my apron and they really loved it.
That's right. That was.
I told, I was suggesting there are certain people who watch us, Ted, who hate us. You know, so they're watching for, it used to be like, I remember when I was a young, naive candidate, I would campaign like Trump until 1 a.m. sometimes, or 12, or I could never just stop. So there'd always be at least one reporter following me. And so one day I said to him, "What the hell are you doing?" You can go to sleep. I'm not going to make any news tonight, I promise. I'm just here to see if somebody shoots you or something.
Jeez.
I'm the dead. They had a name for it.
Not kidding.
No, yeah, not kidding. We always have somebody,
just in case something happens.
if the thing gets boring and everybody wants to go home, one guy stays just in case you make a terrible mistake or you get shot.
Yeah.
You get a heart attack. I said, "Oh, thanks. I hope I don't accommodate you at any point."
Yeah. Well, I could see that would make some sense, right?
He had a name for it, like the dead man squad or something.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I mean, you are probably more prone to make a mistake at midnight than you are when you start your
so
day.
I was going to ask, we don't have any ladies around tonight, including Dr. Maria, but I was going to ask him, can you show that? Is he that good looking? Is Mr. Mangione that good looking?
I don't think so, but I'm probably not the right person to ask.
Did everybody see this, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the menorah. Yeah, put the menorah up there. So here's
Here's what I don't know. And we're going to find out for Monday because we'll probably pick up the last day. This is day number 3, right? We got that right now.
yeah.
So Saturday, Sunday, Monday will be day number 6. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be able to catch 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Okay. You like my menorah?
I do.
I think it's very pretty.
I think so too. Well done.
That's a very nice menorah. I had a choice of silver or gold. So I went with gold.
Now we got to put it somewhere where we can see it for the show. Maybe for tomorrow or for Monday.
Yeah, but keep shooting little shots of it.
Yeah.
With the so there's Luigi. I want to know I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this because I'm defensive or something, but I'm not sure I know what constitutes I know what constitutes a sort of traditional handsome man, but my handsome man probably images go back to the actors of the 40s or the 30s and 40s and 50s.
John Wayne.
Oh, well, John Wayne. John Wayne was more than a handsome man. John Wayne was a man.
Yeah.
Right? That was a man. A lot more than Luigi Mangione. I don't see Luigi Mangione and John Wayne.
No, he's a
fight,
coward.
Having the big fight that they had in A Quiet Man, where they fought all over the hills.
Yeah.
They fought all over Victor McLaughlin and John Wayne.
This is no John Wayne. Shoots the guy in the back.
Yeah.
Wait, he also got caught at a McDonald's. Like, he's not even that good. The guy got caught at a McDonald's. Like, I don't.
It's a stupid hitman.
Yeah, he's not a real. He didn't accomplish anything. He got.
If he goes to prison, the hitmen are not going to want to be with him because he was a jackass hitman. He ran. First of all, he ran much too early when he shouldn't. And second, he carried around an unbelievable. He must have had a sign, "I'm the killer," with a big backpack that he had on.
There's no.
So, what do you think of the Russian plane or the Azerbaijan plane that crashed? Was it hit by the Russians?
They're saying that it shows signs that it was.
Or not. But what are the Russians saying?
Yeah.
We didn't poison him. We didn't poison him. We didn't poison him. We didn't poison him. We did not poison him. We didn't poison him. We didn't poison him. What are the Russians saying? I mean,
let's see what the.
What does it matter what the Russians are saying?
I was going to say, I bet you they're denying it, right?
Isn't the truth the opposite of what the Russians say? Isn't that? Russia, yeah.
Let's see what Russia is. Russia is downplaying speculation. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. No one said it was done on purpose. However, taking into account the established facts, Baku expects the Russian side to confess to shooting down of the plane. Officials in Russia have remained tight.
What are they expecting?
They say they expect Russia to take responsibility.
They do?
Don't hold your breath.
When the hell did Russia ever take responsibility?
Peskov, the Kremlin spokesperson, said it would be wrong to make hypotheses before investigators make their verdict. Who's investigating? Yeah.
Well, here's why it makes very little sense, right? Why it makes very little sense that it be Russia. It's an Azerbaijan airline and their allies. Azerbaijan is a close ally of Russia, and Azerbaijan is carrying out the genocide of the Armenians for Turkey. I remember giving the Armenians advice when I went there.
Armenian?
Yeah, I gave a speech. Armenia. I gave a very big speech in Armenia, when I was doing that, giving speeches. And I then on my own, this wasn't part of Giuliani safety and security. I guess we were trying. John Houvain was hoping we'd get the contract, but they wanted to erect a fence on the Azerbaijan. Well, they did erect a fence on the Azerbaijan Armenian border. Because the Azerbaijan and Romania and Armenia have been enemies forever, like they are with Turkey. And it's a religious thing. The Turks were classically Sunni Muslims, Azerbaijan, Sunni Muslims, and the Armenians are Christians, Orthodox Christians. And this is all religious murder and religious genocide. And so they are surrounded on one side by Turkey that already has carried out a rather effective Armenian genocide, which is well over about 100 years old or more, which Erdogan denies.
Yeah.
And
of course,
Azerbaijan is starting one now. Now, the interesting thing is Azerbaijan is Islamic, and they oppose Orthodox Armenia, but not Orthodox Russia, which tells you that Russia really isn't Orthodox. I mean, the head of the Orthodox Church is a flunky of Putin's completely, as he was a flunky of Stalin's. It's a desecration of the church.
Yeah.
There is a breakaway Russian church called the White Russians that remain truly Russian Orthodox. But in any event, you can see if you look up there the flight path, right?
Yep.
It took off from Azerbaijan in Baku, and it was headed for Grozny, Russia. So this is sort of an internal flight of Azerbaijanis who like to go to Russia and vice versa. So I don't see them shooting this down. I mean, it has to have been a mistake. But it's interesting how it was caused in some ways by the war. The reason is probably going to emerge as to why it was shot down was the plane was attempting to avoid a drone strike by the Russians headed for the Ukraine. So it had to go off course. It doesn't show you exactly how they went off course. Oh, that was the intended flight path. And instead, they went internally like that.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do it. That was the intended flight path. See the red?
Yeah.
So I'll make another red now. I think I will. Huh? Let's see. They came around they tried to come around like that. And up around here, around Vladivostok, Russia,
Yes.
it was hit.
Yes.
On the theory, I guess, they must have mistaken it for a Ukrainian.
I don't get it.
They had to have mistaken it for a Ukrainian plane, but I don't know how you mistake a civilian airliner for a
drone.
Either a drone or a fighter plane. Certainly not a fighter plane.
You would think. I mean, who do they have manning these?
You and I could tell the difference between a civilian airliner, which was a fairly small one, and a fighter plane. Just the speed. The fighter plane is going to go 4 times the speed.
So,
and it certainly wasn't a big bomber. And a plane doesn't look like a drone. Even when we were looking at the drones last week and the week before, you can immediately tell the difference. The square look of the drone, it's half the size. Something strange happened here. It's going to be a very interesting explanation of, the interesting thing, who do they think they were shooting down? And it was on Christmas Day. They killed 38.
I got to give those pilots credit. They saved a lot of lives.
A group survived. Yes, or so far survived. Some of them are still in the hospital. But it is true that a group survived.
A good number, and I think they do credit the pilots with making some maneuvers that increase the chance of survivors.
Putin has said that he's ready for talks and productive talks with Donald Trump on ending the war. Don't get all excited that means he has some kind of constructive thing in mind, other than give me a little more.
Give me some time. I need some time here. Need some time here, Mr. President.
They do say they haven't talked in years. Now, this is contrary to those leaked reports that they've been like pals for 4 years. And,
all of a sudden,
and going out with girls together or something. That's ridiculous.
Colluding on the
they were colluding. The Russians were colluding.
Amazing, yeah. One of those all-American guys you can think of. Yeah, this guy's a Russian spy. Okay.
I have not talked to him for more than 4 years. Of course, I'm ready to talk anytime. I'll be ready to meet with him anytime he wishes.
That's Putin?
That's Putin, yeah.
It is funny. Yeah, that's on purpose, right? He's saying I haven't talked to him in 4 years.
Well, I think in a way, I'm going to tell you the truth. I think in a way, and you can see it in Putin's face. I used to see it really with Obama, how much he disdained Obama. He actually, with Biden, he almost seemed, let me be nice to him. And every once in a while he would say, oh, no, he's fine. He's okay. He would sort of help the lie that Biden was. I guess he figured this is good for me, right?
I was going to say, yeah, keep that guy in charge. You Americans are that stupid.
He never would have done Ukraine, certainly under Trump, maybe under most other American presidents.
Well, he, as you always say, Mayor, and you point that out, he did under every president except for Trump. He's made a land grab, so to speak.
I hope a lot of you got Rudy's coffee for Christmas. I hope so. It's really, really, I really am impressed with the reviews that we get and the people that come back to me and stop me and tell me how good it is. I know for some of you, it requires an extra step, but I'm going to tell you, that's what got me into this. I was tired of I used to use the little cup coffee and other kinds of coffee. And I was just tired of it. And somebody told me, if you grind your own coffee, it's much better. And I said, it can't be possible. So I went and I got a friend of mine suggested getting a little grinder. I started off with a little one. And I used a pot that had the Keurig cups on one side and the coffee maker on the other. So I found it after one or two tries very easy. All you do is put in the number of beans that you want for, let's say, 6 cups. Put on a little thing. It makes it into grinds. You put it in the top. You put the water on the other side, and you let it drip, drip, drip. Comes out nice and hot, and it is so much better. Now, I didn't know at the time until I really got into this, and Dr. Maria and I started researching it with Darren, that the reason it's real, that the coffees I really like were the large majority or completely Arabica coffees. And I'm guaranteeing you, those can be, you can have those whether you use cream or you use sugar or you use sweetener. After all, you're not going to need it. In fact, you're going to get annoyed at it. You're going to say it's taken away the taste of the coffee. So I'm telling you, you're just going to, and I enjoy doing it. I do it in the morning, and it takes me a minute more now that I have it organized, and it's so much better. And then I'm really, not that I can't cook very much. So for me, this is like really big deal. I can say, you want some of my coffee? And then other people say, oh, Rudy's coffee is terrific. It is. I think Trump really put the pardon thing exactly the right way, right? I haven't heard anybody wish a Merry Christmas this way. Right?
Right.
He wished everybody a Merry Christmas. And he said to the people who were pardoned, go to hell. To the killers. What happens if one of those guys kills somebody? Like that guy that Dukakis let out. Anybody going to really get upset about it? They're against the death penalty, right? The death penalty is wrong. But how come 3 guys can get killed then? Because they're politically sensitive. You might get a lot of crap in the black and the Jewish community and in Boston. So he lets them fry. I mean, it's either thoroughly immoral or it's not.
Right. That's what he's
or it gets judged based on the severity of the crime. And I would say some of the people he let go as serious as the ones that he's going to let fry. And the ones that I find really insane that he let go are the ones who killed and molested children, because they're not curable. And now they'll say, oh, they will be in prison for the rest of their lives. Like hell they will. Like hell they will. In my former state of New York, since Cuomo, who wants to be mayor, signed the bill that changed the standard to parole to put more emphasis on how you act in prison than the crime you committed. This was a signal to the left-wing, criminal-loving nut jobs that are called liberals to let him go. So since 2019, which is only 5 years, do you know how many cop killers, policeman killers was set free? 37. Almost all of them were, they're going to go away for, they're never going to be let out, like the ones that are saying, for the rest of their life. And that's even worse than, how many of them asked for the life in prison? How many of them were celebrating the life in prison? They can apply to get murdered now. I'd accept their applications. Oh, that life imprisonment is so much worse. Why don't you execute me? You guys are stupid. You're really stupid. Among other things. There's nothing, I'm sorry, There is nothing more effective as a deterrent to crime than death. And there's nothing more solemn than that. And it should be administered for very, very serious crimes where there's no other choice. With a child sexual deviant who commits murder, there's no other choice because that person will do it again if they ever get the opportunity. Because it is an incurable condition. And until you show me, Dr. Fauci, the science that says the opposite, and even if it isn't incurable, you should kill them anyway for destroying kids. Just like Trump's approach to it. No wonder he's the president, right? Well, the Russians are doing another thing now. They're taking their tankers. They're taking the anchors of their big, gigantic tankers because they're having trouble selling oil right now. And, Trump, there's one way that Trump can just screw Putin so bad. What we got to start doing is selling our oil and natural gas on the world market. The price of theirs is going to go, and you get below a certain level, like Russia was a few years ago. Russia goes broke. Everybody worries about our economy is in terrible shape, and it's by far the strongest economy on earth, including China's. So when you've got to deal with our economy on its own, us and our economy, it's a problem. You want to use our economy against anybody else, they're a joke. They're a joke compared to us. Like why Trudeau is running around trying to stop everybody from coming over the border now, not piss off Trump. And he allows Trump to slap him around. They sell 60% of their oil to the United States. The United States could stop buying that oil. It could easily replace it real quick with its own. We've got as much oil as Canada, maybe more. We've got a hell of a lot more natural gas. We just cut them off. Let them go find on the world market. Let them go find alternatives. First of all, they're going to have to start undercutting other people, which means they're going to lose money. They're going to have to transport it a lot further, which means it's going to cost them a lot more. Almost any country you compare us to, we're in the driver's seat, including China, because our economy is three times China's and then 50 times anybody else's. Everybody talks about their market. Their market is a low value market. Like you can have an audience on radio or television, let's say, of a lot of people, but they don't buy anything. Or you can have a rather small audience of very rich people, and they spend a lot of money. You're going to get much more for advertising in the second one, even though it's less people. That's what America's like. You just don't have a market like this at this level, per capita level. So Russia is now going around and they are ripping up pipelines in order to screw around because they're very afraid that Ukraine is going to cut off the passage of their natural gas and oil into Europe. So a lot of those countries really don't care. I mean, they don't care at all. But some are complaining. So I think Trump is going to have to straighten them out, and they better stop complaining. We're going to have to get slapped around a little. And if you don't think it's effective, would you just please look at how quickly Castro's son Trudeau came so quickly to the U.S. when he said he wanted to take over Canada. He ran across the border and came and sat in his lap like a little boy. And Sheinbaum from Mexico didn't even bother coming. She just did it. She just started taking the Mexican army, putting on the border. And in Panama, the guy has already stopped people going across the Darien Strait. I mean, he hasn't even gotten started yet. And it's a little bit also of the shock value that America is actually flexing its muscles again. I think people had decided we had become like just wastrels. They're going to get a big surprise, a big surprise. Holiday shopping went even further in the direction of online, big time.
No surprise
The
there.
the line that I was talking about was off Finland this time, but there've been a group of them that they have. There've been a group of them that they have where they have ruined the pipe, where they've ruined the pipeline. One of the open questions is what's going to happen in Syria. What do we have? And I do want to say, as we conclude, some words about Dick Parsons. Dick Parsons, you probably know Dick Parsons from some of his many roles as the president of the Warner Company. He was a board member of Estee Lauder. He was an executive of the Los Angeles Clippers basketball team. He played basketball with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at Powers Memorial High School in New York. He was a younger member of I believe it was an undefeated team. Kareem played 4 years of Catholic high school basketball in New York, in which they played against my high school, Bishop Lockham, undefeated. And he played 4 years of college ball at UCLA. And how many times was he defeated? How many times, Ted? It was 4 years. Think about this.
Wait.
4 years of undefeated college basketball.
4 years undefeated? I got a great picture of you and him I'm putting up. Sorry.
Howard Memorial High School.
4 years undefeated.
Yeah, and when I say power, it was under him. It was never a real basketball power, except with him. With him, it was undefeated for 4 years. I think it was just him on the team. They didn't even put out the other four guys. And we had the year before him, we had the championship team, Bishop Walker, the Catholic high school championship team. And the Catholic high school league was very competitive.
Yeah.
Including it produced 4 or 5 excellent NBA players, plus one of the greatest, Jabbar. So he won all high school games, every game. And how many college games did he win for UCLA? He won the national championship. He won the national championship.
Come on.
3 times. How many? You tell me how many. How many did he lose?
I'm going to guess not many. 5?
1 to Elvin Hayes.
He lost once.
At University of Houston.
I'm trying to get this picture of him up.
And he was injured at the time. He got a finger in the eye, and he played the game anyway. And then, believe it or not, they played the national championship. The one team that defeated them ever in their 4-year career, played them, and of course, a healthy Jabbar wiped out Elvin Hayes. And the
wow, this was like big time basketball.
He could, you could say,
there he is.
You know, he's one of the top 10. Well, that's Dick. His teammate was Kareem.
Yeah.
And Kareem, you could say, was one of the greatest basketball players ever.
Well, you would say, yeah.
But the one you would really say he was one of the greatest college basketball players ever.
That's right.
There he shined even a teeny bit more. But Dick was my law partner at Patterson, Belknap, Webb and Tyler. And he is the one who recommended me for Associate Attorney General to the Reagan administration. So I've always had he also was the president of Time Warner when they sued me for giving one of the city channels to Fox because Turner thought that if you let Fox get started,
he was right.
It would be like no contest. And everybody else
being right, wasn't it?
Everybody else, including Dick, disagreed with him. And Dick made a deal. And Dick told me later, Turner said, "You're going to regret that." But it was the right thing to do. Dick was a very good man, a very effective man. He was a very good lawyer, a very good executive, a very, very smart politician. His actual mentor was Nelson Rockefeller.
Oh, wow.
He was Nelson Rockefeller's chief of staff when he was governor, and then when he was vice president.
Wow.
And then
what a career.
Judge Tyler, who was the senior partner at Patterson, Belknap, Webb, and Tyler, who brought me there with him because I was his chief of staff. He hired Dick, and we had quite a team. And Judge Mukasey, yeah, quite a few all-stars.
Yeah, that's quite the firm. But Mayor, we can't go without touching upon this debate. I'd like to get your 2 cents, and maybe we can do a video over the weekend.
Yes.
But this ongoing debate, it's kind of taken over X, and it's something that everyone's talking about.
Our friend Vivek.
Well, and look, I don't want to put the focus just on Vivek. Of course, he ended up having.
Well, set it up for us.
Set it up for you. So this ongoing debate over, I guess it's known as highly skilled immigration, right? H1-B visas. I believe there's only 65,000 of them, but a lot of them do end up going to Silicon Valley. And Vivek made the point, because a lot on the right would like to see our own. Well, I don't want to say our own, but Native American people native to this country, right? Let's say born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. Why aren't we educating those folks? Why are we bringing in people from other countries for these what are considered a high, middle income, high income jobs? And in a way, some folks look at that as another way that we're hurting Middle America and Native. I say Native Americans, native born Americans, and prioritizing immigrants, and that rubs some people the wrong way.
We're talking about legal immigrants.
Yes, we're talking about legal immigration. So that's where this gets interesting. And Vivek came out and made the point that this is his perspective. Vivek says the reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over quote-unquote Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture, this is Vivek speaking, our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ, or the jock over the valedictorian, will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zach and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Fact, I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those television shows precisely because they promoted mediocrity, and their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less quote unquote hanging out at the mall. And it goes on, and maybe we could finish this up here. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kind of parents. Most normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grew up aspiring to normalcy is what you're going to achieve.
Now, I know what I think of. Tell me what you think.
Well, we've
know immediately.
I want to get what you. I think the American people are waiting to hear what you think,
I don't
Mayor.
even have a doubt about it.
What do you think, Mayor?
It could have been done maybe more discreetly. It's brilliant. He's absolutely right. And if we don't wake up to it, we'll be a second-rate country. The quality of our education has declined precipitously since I've been mayor. We want to blame it on the pandemic. It was happening before the pandemic. Every year in New York for the last 20 years, the scores have gone down. And we are now spending twice as much per student than when I was mayor, and the scores were much higher. You can almost trace the amount of money we spend this way, and the scores going that way. We're spending like $32,000 a student, and we're 27th on most things. 27 countries better at math and English than America, and we're going to compete with them. Now, why is that? Because these kids work a lot harder. I mean, why do the Asian kids do the best at all of the competitive high schools? Why did Harvard get caught discriminating against the Asian kids in favor of our minorities? Because the Asian kids kick the shit out of you in any exam. Now, why are Asians brighter? They've got a much more disciplined family structure, the way Jews did, the way the Irish did, the way Italians did, the way Greeks did, the way I go on with the traditional American immigrant. Those people didn't spend a lot of time watching ridiculous trash or running around watching Taylor Swift stick her legs out and sing like a cuckoo bird. I mean, yeah, you want to lift your intellect, try music. Try the discipline of listening to like 8 minutes of serious music. My God, that might help you concentrate. We are doing everything in our society to grow up one successive generation of boobs after another. Then if we're not growing up boobs, we're growing up perverts. Some girl who is a tomboy for a year, I mean, if she says it often enough, they'll capture her and chop her all up. I mean, we've got a serious cultural problem in the way we bring up children. Children have to be brought up with discipline, love and discipline. I don't think we have either, because love creates discipline. You realize you're not doing your kid any favor by letting your kid do whatever the hell they want, and by having them tell you, "Oh gosh almighty," how many say, "Oh, Mary's allowed to stay out until 11. I should be able to stay out until 11. Well, go live at Mary's house," is what my father and mother would have said, or go live at Jack's house. You know, I want to go out. I want to go out and play before I do my homework. Well, you're not going. You're going to do your homework first, then you're going to go out and play. Yeah, but I'll miss the touch football game. Tough shit. Miss the touch football game. Get every one of those equations right, and you can go out. That's the way I was brought up by both my father and my mother. My father and mother said, "Get your work done, and then you can play. You'll feel much more. You'll feel much better. You won't have any guilt. You won't have any worry. Just get your studying done, get it done right, and then you can go out and play." And I'm very disciplined about studying.
Yeah,
wasn't born that way. I wasn't born able to stay up all night and write a brief. Most people aren't born that way. Somebody's got to put it in you.
so you credit your parents.
Of course I do. My parents and my nuns and my brothers, the brothers who taught me. If it weren't for my teachers and my parents, I don't know what I'd be. I sure as heck wouldn't have the discipline I wouldn't have the intellectual curiosity that I have and the discipline to pursue it. That's taught to you. You don't, maybe that's not correct. Maybe there are some people that innately have that, but in the vast majority of cases, that's taught. And even when you innately have it, it's either nurtured and grows or it can atrophy. You know, and I don't think children shouldn't be allowed to watch any television, or I get a little nervous about don't let them have any internet, or of course they got to learn the internet. It's part of their life and their world. What they can't do is become obsessive compulsive about it. You got to make sure their life is balanced. My father would always say that, you can't overdo anything. You got to do your work, and there's got to be some play also. But you had to do your work. That was my job. They also would say, well, if you don't want to work, go to work. And I kind of preferred school. And then the other thing in my age was Catholic school. It was Catholic school. They would say, if you don't get all A's, or if you don't get mostly A's, we'll take you out of Catholic school. And oh man, that would frighten the hell out of me. Because I was, half the time I was growing up, I wanted to be a priest. I was an altar boy and a priest. If they took me out of Catholic school, I thought I was going to go to hell. I thought my whole life will be ruined if I get taken out of Catholic school. So I just studied. Whenever I would drop off in my energy for studying, they'd say that, and I would study like, okay, Mom, okay, Dad, don't take me out of Catholic school.
So you think so? Vivek's making some strong points.
Yeah, I don't. You know, there are some of the things that he's saying. If you just pull it out of context, it seems that he's insulting us. But first of all, he is one of us. Stop this stuff about he's not an Indian. He's an Indian American. Like I'm an Italian American, and somebody's a German American. I wish that we'd do it opposite. I really do think we should pass a law saying you have to refer. As long as we're going to tell people how to talk, I think it should be American Italian, American Indian, American Irish, American. Because that's the way it really is for the classic American immigrant, right? The classic, and he's a classic. He's a complete American with an Indian background. I'm a complete American with an Italian background. I think he's reflecting old-fashioned values as opposed to present values. They could be Indian, they could be Italian, they could be Jewish. I mean, Jewish people are well known for putting tremendous emphasis. In fact, Jewish people were always considered, until we've now had the Asians, right? The most effective at putting value on education. My father was in great admiration of all his Jewish friends and used to try to ask their advice. But just tell you, they seem to know how to do it the best. We Italians don't seem to know how to do it as well. So I'm going to copy them.
Well, this is the ongoing debate, so I think folks were definitely waiting to hear.
But he's got guts, I'll tell you. A good friend Vivek has a lot of guts.
And by the way, he is the real deal. We've long been following Vivek. We consider him a friend of the show. He's been on. And so I agree with you. And these are conversations we have to have. So I don't like the idea of canceling each other out or attacking each other for having this discussion, whether it's Laura Loomer or Vivek.
Well, what is Laura Loomer saying?
Laura is very much, she's taking a much different position than Vivek.
No.
Very much
But
so.
she's very conservative.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have Laura on to explain.
I don't understand what she's saying. I mean, maybe I'm missing some of the debate.
Yes, when again,
but if he's saying that we allow our children to run their own lives, that parents no longer have control over the lives of children, and we allow them to pursue enormously frivolous and at times destructive things to their development. That's absolutely true. We do. And it's almost a point of being a crisis. I mean, we try to fight back by banning the internet or banning TikTok. Well, we should really ban TikTok because of China, not because of its content.
I think Laura is more.
You can, if the parents have the right control over the bringing up of their children, it wouldn't matter what was on TikTok.
Right.
It wouldn't matter. TikTok is a symptom, not the problem.
Absolutely. So folks like Laura are out there making really strong points about why can't we educate our own that are already here, right? Folks that are born and raised generationally.
That's a different point. I'm going to tell you why. Immigration has always had what he's reflecting is one of the things immigration does for us and has done over 150 years. It challenges us to be better because immigrants often come here with a lot more desire to succeed than we do. And then they reignite us. We've fallen into all the bad things about immigration, illegality and people taking advantage, but if the right reaction to an immigrant group coming here, overachieving, is for us to be challenged, and we overachieve with them. And we say to ourselves, well, why are all the Asians? Let's take a look at why all the Asians are achieving, and then do what the Asians are doing. I mean, sometimes we can go into a whole analysis of it, and I'll get some Italians and some Jews on it, and we'll talk about how my father, I wish he was still alive, believed that Italians kind of lost a generation in not emphasizing education enough. Italians, particularly the poorer ones, when they came to America, followed the old Italian tradition that the way you develop a living or small amount of wealth is the family all worked in the family business. You didn't have to go to school. If dad was a grocer, you became a grocer. You just became a bigger grocer. And some of them were very successful doing that, but they didn't buy the notion that the Jewish people did, that education was the key to success in America. And the second generation of Italians did. And look how much more successful they were. So I think there's a very positive thing with legal immigration if it's done right. And remember, if you do it based on merit, you're adding to your capacity as a country. I mean, who's going to make up for the kids who can't read and write? Somebody's got to take the jobs. You have to know. I mean, you watch these kids getting interviewed, like the ones you interview.
It's sad. You're right.
They're not going to be able to build a great nation.
I think
They're lucky. They're lucky they can get across the street. They don't. I mean, I just saw
love for Luigi.
I just saw. Yeah, okay, yeah, for Luigi. I mean, that's
indictment on her.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
That is an indication of a moral breakdown, and also the support for Hamas is a
moral
of our moral breakdown that the Marxists have brought about.
There's also a logic and a reasoning issue, right? Anyone that even take the morality out of it, right, Mayor? The idea that one person can just decide who's responsible for these systematic problems and shoot him in the back.
It's very dangerous. There are that many of them.
Yeah.
It's not, that isn't, but the first problem is really just letting children run wild.
Yeah.
And letting the children run the school instead of their teachers, which is what we do.
Yeah. It's nuts.
The other is a much deeper and sicker problem. When you're praising death, or anybody who brings it, like if you're praising Hamas or you're praising Luigi, or there's something really wrong, something deeply wrong in what we've taught people.
Yes.
But that doesn't make up the first one that Vivek is talking about is a much bigger, broader problem.
Yes.
The Luigi problem and the Hamas problem is a much smaller problem.
Yes. I hope so anyway.
No, I think that's right. I mean, if we're talking about a societal problem, Vivek or Laura are talking about a societal problem.
Yeah.
And it's the same debate in the 20s and 30s.
Really?
The immigrants are coming here to take the jobs, or the immigrants are coming here to challenge us to work harder and more effectively.
So we've had this debate before. And so it'll be interesting, but I think one thing it's healthy to have it out in the open like we are on X, where everyone's voice can be heard. And I'm just hopeful that we aren't silencing or censoring one another for having divergent views.
Yeah, and
that makes us stronger.
Right now, if we think of the value of the whole country, we need these talented people because we're not producing them. You're not going to turn this problem around with American education in one day. But we're going to have very talented people if we're going to meet the challenges we have to meet.
Yeah.
So these people are going to become extraordinarily important to us, and they can be just as loyal Americans as people born here. In fact, sometimes they can be more because they appreciate it.
Of course.
Don't base your analysis of immigration on the people that are coming in now. It's the worst sample we've ever had. Even the illegal immigrants of 20 and 30 years ago were a better sample than this. This is a terrible sample because we left the border open to the worst common denominator, and we're getting them.
Yes.
Well, that's quite an interesting discussion we have, which can go on for quite some time, and it will.
Yeah.
And you've got a wonderful weekend between Christmas and New Year's to enjoy yourself. Next week, we'll spend a little time, but we're not going to get compulsively involved in it on the biggest stories. I was kidding the other night. It's really kind of silly to rate the biggest stories. There was one story that predominated everything all year long, and that was the presidential election and the absolutely historic comeback of Donald J. Trump, and the wonderful way he's being received now.
Right.
Frightening the hell out of these people so that they want to find some illegal way to keep him out of office.
Right.
Like they did last time when they inspired January 6th. Which we'll be ready for on January 6th. We'll tell you everything we knew about it because you see what I'm telling you now about January 6th? You know when I knew it? 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night on January 6th. And you can see me talking about it a day later on my podcast, and we'll dig it out.
Oh, we're going to have January 6th is coming up, and
it's amazing. I mean,
time we tell the truth about that day.
Yeah. And
people are held responsible. That sham committee, those folks need to be held accountable. What they did is anyway,
I'm covering up a murder.
Yeah.
Well, so again, we pray for our brothers and sisters in different parts of the world who are undergoing war. At the time of Christmas, we should think of the ones who are undergoing poverty and discrimination and murder based on religion. And then let's pray for President Trump and his administration. Like Senator Fetterman said, we all have to be rooting for him because we all have to be rooting for America. If you love him and care about him, let's hope he's as good as we believe he is. And if you don't, let's hope he isn't what you think he is. You can have a much better life, and your kids are, if that's the case. And I can tell you, if you're suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, he's a lot better than that. Even Ted knows that, right, Ted?
Of course.
No, maybe we'll see him tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay. So, God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze.